Welcome back everybody. Today we'll be talking about a common interview question, which is EDR versus SIEMs. This is going to help you understand what's going on in real-world deployments, as well as help you prepare for cybersecurity interviews. So without further ado, let's get into it. For those who don't know, EDR stands for Endpoint Detection and Response. EDR is security software that lives on your endpoints, meaning laptops, desktop servers, and even mobile devices. It's installed directly on each device that you want to connect. Now, what does EDR do? It continuously monitors everything that happens on that device. It monitors what processes are running, what files are being accessed or modified, what network connections are being made, and what registry changes occur on Windows. EDR uses behavior analysis and threat intelligence to detect suspicious activity. If it sees something malicious, like ransomware trying to encrypt files, it can automatically block it, isolating the device or even rolling back the changes. You can think of it as having a security guard stationed at every single computer in your organization, watching everything that happens on that specific device. Now that we've talked about EDRs, let's move on to SIEMs. Now, what exactly is a SIEM? SIEM stands for Security Information and Event Management, or Manager depending on who you ask. This is fundamentally different from an EDR. While EDR focuses on individual endpoints, SIEM takes a bird's eye view of your entire environment. A SIEM is a centralized platform that collects logs and security events from everywhere, including firewalls and network devices, servers and applications, Active Directory and authentication systems, cloud services like Office 365 or AWS, and even your EDR tools send data to the SIEM. The magic of SIEM is its correlation. You can connect the dots between different events. The SIEM correlates these separate events and says, hey, this looks like a compromised account and maybe a trend going on here. SIEM is also crucial for compliance regulations like PCI DSS, HIPAA, and SOC 2, which often require centralized logging and monitoring, which is exactly what SIEM provides. Popular SIEM platforms include Splunk, IBM QRadar, LogRhythm, and Microsoft Sentinel. It's easy to think about SIEM as a security operations center, the central command where analysts monitor everything happening across your entire organization. Now let's look at some side-by-side comparisons. While EDR protects individual devices, SIEM monitors your entire environment, including systems, network devices, and every application. EDR is focused on endpoint threats, such as malware, suspicious processes, and file modifications, whereas SIEM is about connecting the dots across different systems to detect complex attack patterns. Now, EDR gets its data sources from a single device, the one it's installed on, whereas a SIEM will collect data from hundreds or thousands of sources, coming from firewalls, servers, cloud services, databases, and yes, even your EDR endpoint detection response agents. When it comes to visibility, EDR gives you incredibly deep visibility into what's happening on a single device. It captures every process, every file access, and every registry change, whereas a SIEM will give you a broad view across your organization, seeing patterns and connections between different systems. Finally, we look at the use cases. You typically use EDR when you need to stop malware infections, detect living off-the-land attacks, or investigate what happened on a specific computer. And then you usually use SIEMs for detecting multi-stage attacks that span different systems, meeting compliance requirements, or understanding your overall security posture. Although the key takeaway is that they are complementary, not competing technologies. Now that we have an idea of what they each do separately and how they compare side by side, let's look at them in a real-world attack scenario. So for this example, let's hypothetically say that an employee receives a phishing email where they won a free iPad with a malicious attachment, and they open it on their laptop. EDR on that laptop immediately detects the suspicious executable behavior when the attachment runs. Meanwhile, the SIEM receives an alert from the email gateway that flags this email as suspicious. At this point, both systems are aware something is happening, but the attack is just beginning. Next is the lateral movement. This is where the malware tries to spread. It scans the network looking for other vulnerable systems. The EDR sees this unusual network scanning behavior from a laptop that normally just accesses email and web browsers. This is where the SIEM starts collecting correlating data. It sees failed login attempts to multiple file servers from this user's account, which has never accessed those servers before. So SIEM is just now connecting the dots. This isn't just one endpoint issue, it's becoming a network-wide threat. The next hypothetical step is privilege escalation. This is when the attacker tries to gain admin rights to move deeper into the network. The EDR blocks an attempt to dump credential hashes from memory, which is a common known attack technique. The SIEM detects that a new admin account was created at 2 a.m. on a Sunday, way outside of the business hours, from the compromised system. Now, both systems are actively preventing the attack from escalating. Now we move on to a coordinated response. the EDR automatically isolates the compromised laptop from the network, preventing further lateral movement, whereas the SIEM will create a high priority incident ticket that shows the entire attack chain, starting with the phishing email, to the malware execution, to the scanning, to the credential attacks, and to the admin account creation. The SOC analyst will see the full story in the SIEM and can now verify the compromised account is disabled, check if the attacker accessed any sensitive data, use EDR to investigate exactly what files were modified on the endpoint, and to search the SIEM for any other systems that might have been affected. And this is why you need both. EDR will provide immediate blocking at the endpoint level, where the SIEM will provide the big picture view showing this was a coordinated attack, not isolated events, and will show you the entire attack chain. Without EDR, the malware might have spread, and without SIEM, you wouldn't have known the full scope of the attack or what other systems to check. And that basically wraps up this video. I hope it helped you understand the difference between EDR and SIEMs. Remember, if you're interviewing for a security role, be ready to explain that EDR and SIEMs serve different purposes but often work together in tandem. Be sure to also be prepared to give examples of when you'd use each one. Thank you and have a great day.